Hello, everyone out there. My name is Adam King. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I am the director of the Medicare Advantage channel here at Agent Pipeline, and I'm here to talk about 10 ways that you can have a wildly successful AEP. Now, these are not going to be force ranked in any particular way, but number one is, to me, so incredibly important, especially with things happening in the market, restrictions that could be coming down that we have to make sure we adhere to. And by we, I mean the agents out there as well as the brokers like myself. So number one in this 10 ways is use Medicare Center. And are you using Medicare Center? That might be a better way to phrase everything. If you're not, please, we would love to talk about all the specifics and the nuance of this, but just to list some of the features that are incredibly important as one, just everything becomes more digital. There's more opportunity, more access, and just more plan availability out there. I want to make sure that you understand some of these bullet points that can help, like the shop by doc feature, being able to find your PCP whenever your client needs it and be able to lock that into the plan is fantastic, as well as the RX finder. So being able to make sure that two of the most important aspects of the plan in general covered, including docs and prescription drugs. It's a robust platform where virtually all carriers are going to be listed into one login. So you don't have to make sure you understand the different variations for every carrier out there. And if you do use the carrier plan, certainly they're great products and it helps to be able to navigate and to enroll your clients. But imagine the one place where you can have every carrier and all the functionality built in with side of it. Speaking of which is HRA integration or health risk assessment. So the majority of the plans now have that functionality built into Medicare Center, which means these prices go, or these payments can go anywhere from $50 to $125. Who knows what 2023 could bring? Those things could even move up higher as plans become more competitive and as more parity continues to exist, among your portfolio. There's also CSG integration. And one of the points we'll talk about later is loosely covered in this, but when you think about Medicare supplements in general, being able to quote them certainly. There's enrollment features baked into this platform on that, because no matter what time of the year, those are still something that you want to be able to have and have access to quickly, because you really never know what that best fit for your client is until you discuss it. And it also has a heat mapping feature, so whether you work in one state and you're localized in a regional area, or perhaps you cover a whole state and certainly beyond those borders, you can find and pinpoint where plans have their most effective opportunities. And then again, it gives you a chance to see how many options are out there, because the plans, depending on what state you're at, they can be almost endless. And we'll talk a little bit more about this as we go. But those are just some of the features. And again, I don't want to underscore any less is just the fact that it has call recording, it has call storage, and with all the responsibilities that you and we have as we move into this AEP and beyond, having all of that built in where it is not going to incur a cost out of your pocket. I would love to have discussions with you to turn you onto those products so you know just what that means for you and your team, or again, for your individual business if you're an independent agent yourself. Number two, strategizing with your consultants here at Agent Pipeline. Listen, if you're educated and lucky enough to be able to remember all the nuance built into every single plan, first of all, you are years ahead of myself. But if you do need help, one, being able to pinpoint if there are plan changes and being able to walk through even at a line item level, that's what we're here to help you with. Depending on your state, you could have double-digit Medicare Advantage plans. And as we talked about, there's Medicare supplement plans. And every year, it never changes. There's always something that's going on that could be maybe not so much a market disruption, but enough of a nuance change where you really need to understand, because maybe you have part of your book of business where your clients are affected. Or perhaps it's something that you've been kicking down the road a little bit for a carrier to bring on, and now you realize, hey, there's some new opportunity here and I have to have this. One, again, we're going to have access to almost everything out there from a national or regional level. So it really does help make this a one-stop shop. You want to study the data that's available and analyze any of the trends that are going on, and make sure you understand your clients specifically. And by talking with your experts here, you can go through the data to understand, hey, which of the clients as we move into this season are potentially going to be more likely to switch, or who wants to stay on their plans, and what is that demographic that is less likely to make movement here. That's going to help you figure out what you need in your portfolio, and it's going to help you figure out the cadence of when you get into scheduling your season. And you want to make sure you get with these clients early if you do have some awareness on clients that are going to be changing plans, or perhaps there again is some sort of area disruption where we need to have a plan because there's something exiting the market. We're going to help you plug that in. We will show you whether it's just a single county or there's different parts of the state, especially if you live in a large state with many metro areas. There's a lot of things and a lot of nuance that can happen throughout the year. So do you have any service area reductions or SARs? It's inevitable that carriers do change year over year. So while consistency is key, and as I mentioned earlier, there's parity all the way across. There's rare absolutes in anything, and certainly to think that all plans will be consistent across the board for an entire calendar year. Even if it does happen that way, it's best to at least bet and be cautious and be cognizant of what could happen, because it's an ever-growing business. It feels like a small industry, but when you think about just the competition out there from an agent perspective, and then the new people getting into the space, you just want to make sure that you have everything you need so your clients will be instilled with as much confidence in you. And of course, that's our responsibility to make sure you as an agent have that sort of confidence in us. The next one is get organized. So the nice thing about, we talked about Medicare Center earlier, there is a built-in customer relations management tool, or a CRM. That way you can have a snapshot look at your entire book of business. Make sure if you're using spreadsheets, again, you've got them backed up for days because you just don't want to lose all of your access to something that's just on a hard drive. And if you can get a little more accustomed to putting things that are out there and stored on a platform that you can access from multiple locations at once, like Medicare Center is, you've got a line of sight into whatever can happen here. That way you can schedule events, you can practice with the different carrier options, like almost running like a sandbox option, so that you do have, I guess, a little more experience, so when you're talking to your clients, you're not fumbling around trying to figure out the best ways to get something done. So again, being organized is highly important. And even if you're writing paper enrollments, again, I would ask you why, because there's just always more room for error with those. But again, we know that some agents out there do prefer that, and some clients do prefer having something tangible in their hands as well. Make sure you're running through those applications and walking through those with your consultants here. So being able to make sure you can navigate the conversation from the hello to the thank you, and everything in between, that's certainly what we want to help make sure your day is organized from a day-to-day administrative aspect and of course a sales aspect. Number 4 is getting certified early, and of course ordering your supplies. So certifications at this point start when the summer starts. So we're looking at the end of June, certainly July at the latest. And as we talked about, there's so many plans out there. Each one you have to certify for every year, and for new agents, it's something you've got to get accustomed to, making sure you build out enough runway so that the season doesn't catch up to you, because it's not like just taking care of your certifications gets you ready for the selling season. So don't be caught off guard, because again, as we talked about, there are clients who want to deal with paper applications. Not everybody uses Medicare Center or enrollment platforms electronically at this point. It's something that's gaining momentum, but you want to make sure you're not getting stuck behind the queue of orders. The fact that just where the world is right now, there's less availability for certain things. There's less numbers that you can pre-order. So the earlier that you get yours in, it's going to give you a little more chance to get the hard copies you need. So again, if you've got somebody who walks into your office, or again, you've got a client that historically prefers this, everything's ready. And you can't get that stuff until you get certified. So don't be somebody who's sitting there on the 3rd or 4th week of September saying, what do I have to do right now? Especially if you haven't got certified. It's a recipe to make a stressful season, which is certainly an exciting season, but just add a little bit that's going to take your focus away from selling and preparing your clients for what's coming ahead. Speaking of your clients, that's the next step, and that's going to be scheduling meetings with your clients. Certainly you all are having your ANOC meetings or your annual notice of change. That's something where you can have these and host these in a virtual capacity if that's what's going to be most convenient for your clients. But that's something where you've got to make sure that you're talking about the nuance in these plan changes. And as you go through the summer months and there's all those carrier rollouts, it's not like it's just a copay here and a maximum there that's changing. These plans are so robust, and there's so much variety inside of them, especially from these ancillary build-ins and how things can work from whether you're dual eligible or whatever your income level is. Making sure that you can explain any of these changes, because I can guarantee you if you're not, there's so much competition because there's just so much at stake in the market. There are agents out there that are going to know, and there's agencies that train, and there's carriers that train agents on these things all day, every day. And these are things that we're responsible for. We're responsible for making sure you know, and certainly if your relationship with us isn't where it needs to be, shame on us, but we will make sure that when you call in or we call you, we're armed and prepared to be able to just give you the most education and the best opportunity as you move forward. So when you can schedule remote meetings when requested, you can send out SOAs at the beginning of October. You can schedule, I would say, schedule your existing clients after any new clients, again, depending on what's going on. So as you have those preliminary conversations, scheduling your time and understanding where your clients are going to be during the season, you may have to push some to the beginning. So maybe they take some trips towards Thanksgiving or later in the year, and you can't push them towards the end. But making sure, even for your current book, if you are pushing those forward, you want to make sure that it's not a scare tactic, but you just want to say you're going to have calls and you're going to have emails and you're going to have mail that's just inundated from you, whether it's from a call center or just carriers getting in front of people, or it's agents who are doing lead campaigns or drip campaigns or social media campaigns. You want to make sure that you explain to your clients, hey, no matter what you hear, we've got access to it because, one, we're through Agent Pipeline, and they've got a vast portfolio of really everything that's going to be needed for a client in any given area. And that way, again, they know if they get some great news and it's something that they're turned on to, instead of saying, hey, let me jump on board, they say, hey, Joe Agent, I want to make sure that we have this because these are the benefits I need at this point. My life's changed, or hey, there's just an upgrade in the market. So making sure that you're scheduling these meetings and that your clients are as educated as you are is keyly important, because again, when you think about just the access online to be able to read plans and look at all the different summaries and the benefits on there, while clients can take that into their own hands, when you think about healthcare in general, and just the gravity of being able to make a choice that hopefully not, but certainly can be part of a life or a serious condition, or certainly maybe it's just a way you want to make better managed care of what you're doing, that you've had all of that at the ready, so that it makes things comfortable for your clients, because again, keeping them confident in you is going to help retain that book. It's going to make your business stickier. It certainly can lead to referral opportunities, which it's a great way to earn some more passive style of income as you grow your book and grow your business. Number 6 is working leads, and working leads post haste. So we all love leads. Leads are awesome. They're one of the biggest buzzwords in the industry, but what we want to make sure we do is you don't sit on it, right? So if you get a lead in and it's early in the morning, if you're waiting till late in the afternoon, with the competitive nature of what's going on in the AEP, most clients out there don't just respond to one thing. So you want to make sure you call immediately. And a lot of leads are just either dropped or they're forgotten about, or depending on your organization, you lose sight of it. And so salespeople in general, after 1 or 2 calls, will move on. But again, this is something where it takes multiple touch points to get in front of somebody. I mean, depending on what your area of expertise is, you could be in double-digit contact points before you've actually reached a client. And so, one, you got to make sure you're working these leads. So if it's coming out of your pocket, that you're not just throwing money out there for no reason. And then if you've got relationships with Agent Pipeline and our carrier partners, maybe you've got some other lead support as well, but you've got to make sure responsibility to disposition these is taken care of, and the fact that we can see that they're being worked in the right semblance of time, because one, it makes sure that you're given the best opportunity, and 2, it also means, hey, if one of your competitors in the market isn't, it may be a chance to say, hey, Jane agent, she's working her leads every day on time. She works them within the first hour or two when she gets them. Let's make sure that we can push some more to her because she has the bandwidth and the capacity and certainly the wherewithal to be able to handle these. So it's certainly important to make sure you don't sit on leads. And again, like, you don't call once. You just don't give up on these things. So if you've taken care of that, you've got everything potentially built into what your CRM is inside of Medicare Center, and you've got everything organized. It makes it easier to set follow-ups, and it makes it easier to make sure that you get what you need done. And again, leads are a huge ask, but the disproportion of the lead volume that gets sent out versus the leads that get worked, you'd be surprised out there. And again, not every lead's a stone cold killer, but at the same time, it's a numbers game and it's a volume game. And the more reps you take, the better chance you're going to have on closing that. And who doesn't want to increase their book of business, right? So that's through 6. 7 is, utilizing centers of influence. So these run the gamut. Maybe you work in retail locations. Certainly there's plenty of brick and mortar out there that you can be stationed in, whether that's a Walmart or some sort of facility that's of a similar fashion, a larger boxed room, or perhaps you're in a dentist's office. There's pharmacy locations. Think about the demographics of the clients you work with. It could be something that's like in a food bank or a high-rise if you're really involved in the DSNP community, because even though we're talking about the annual enrollment period, there's still other, selling moments through those months that also give you a chance to put people in the right plans, or put them again on a plan that'll be covered later that doesn't necessarily correlate to just a Medicare Advantage opportunity. So making sure that any of your DSNP locations, any of your retails, you get to know them, they get to know you, you're continuing to build a relationship, and it gets you to the point where if the store managers and the store owners are seeing that you're working in the right locations and that you're helping not only your business stay sticky and continue to grow, but it stays consistent on their end, it just is a great chance to grow that relationship and really almost have some exclusivity as you move into the OEP and the lock-in time of the year. So for number 8, plan your marketing strategy. So if you haven't finished your certifications until late September, chances are you probably haven't figured out what your marketing plan and your marketing strategy is. Man, that is something that we are great at. So all of our consultants here, we will walk through from experience, from what we've done that's been successful in your area or other areas that we work in nationally. And certainly we want to talk about what you've done and discuss, hey, what's the timeliness of what you need? What sort of lead volume are you looking for? What's the medium in which you're going to be using for marketing, whether it's print, social media, radio, television. There's a lot of means out there. So one, making sure that you understand what your overall budget's going to be, the ways that potentially we can help invest in you, even backing into the numbers. So if you know what your book of business is, you know what your growth is, we want to make sure that we can help take your cost per acquisition and whatever services that we can provide that can help lower that. One, again, it helps you generate more so that you can put more revenue into your business and continue a compounding effect that just helps grow as you continue to expand and hopefully move past original goals that you've had because of the partnership and the commitment that we're making to you. So understanding the marketing strategy, it's kind of a broad stroke of a term because there's so much nuance built inside of that, but it's something we do every day from the top executive level down. We all consult as a team, and certainly the nice thing is when you're talking with your consultants, we also work as kind of a hive unit, and so we share practices across the regions, across the states. We're certainly more than incentivized in doing that. We want to be successful. One, we like to win, and so the better chance that we can put you in that position to do so, it works for us, and certainly that's ingrained in how we run business here. A couple more before we get done with this. Number 9 is going to be staying involved in your community. So it's pretty easy to just be laser focused into AEP and kind of have blinders on what's going on. But if you do have, like we talked about, retail opportunities or other centers of influence, things that you're spending time on, don't forget about those during the season. Maybe you don't have the bandwidth to work 20 hours in one location or 30 hours depending on what's going on because you've got to take care of your book. But keeping those relationships and conversations alive, it's super impactful because it's the same sort of attention as if you were talking to your clients, right? If you tend to neglect them or not keep the same communication cadence, it just gives a chance for a competitor out there to prove his or her value and then to be able to, move in and potentially take away some of your business. And we don't want to lose anything through attrition more than already happens. So making sure that you're staying involved in the community, getting to know people, showing your face out there, and putting in the time, which is really a sweat equity, part of investing in yourself. There are a few ways that you can get more impactful in a community and certainly start getting your name and your branding out there, which those are things that take some runway and they take a lot of effort. So we'll help guide you on that and give you some best practices so that the AEP continues into the OEP, and like we talked about, the lock-in and the cycle continues, and your book continues to grow. And so we've gone through 9 ways, and again, we don't call it a top 10 specifically. They're 10 ways that you can become successful if you utilize them, and certainly there's some other things out there, but these are ones that we've seen year over year, tried and true, that our agents and agencies have grown and reached their goals and been able to hit their income goals, as well as, again, what do you do with that? How do you maximize your life outside of what you're doing for your business? We want to make sure that we can help elevate what you're doing so that those things aren't just dreams, right? They're achievable goals. But there's one more thing you have to pay attention to in AEP, and that's the Medicare supplement or the ancillary side of business. So Medicare supplements can be sold all year long. The AEP is also our largest Medicare supplement selling time of the season. Listen, Medicare Advantage is awesome, and it's a fantastic way to have managed care, and there's so much built into it. It's impossible for some people to deny and turn away from. But depending on whatever their economic needs are, or just what their involvement is with their own health care, there's tremendous amount of awesome Medicare supplements out there, and our portfolio on that side is just as vast. So you want to make sure that, one, you're keeping up with the rate changes and the plan changes and the opportunity changes, because there are Medicare supplements that come out. Sometimes it seems almost monthly, but certainly around quarterly. So you have to stay on top of that game, and certainly there's many reasons for that. Rates are going to drive that. Underwriting is going to drive that. There are agent incentives that are built inside of these. And certainly if clients can pass underwriting, there's ways for them to potentially lower their out-of-pocket costs. And again, if we're talking about your book that's just PDP only, well, there's a good chance that they're probably on a Medicare supplement out there. Or if you run into somebody who's in that situation shopping Part D, they need to shop those plans as well. So you think about just the Medicare supplement plan, or if you're looking at a WRAP plan, whether it's cancer or certainly something that complements Medicare Advantage well as a hospital indemnity plan. There's critical illness and other broad portfolio options that we have here. And again, we've got hundreds and hundreds of contracts available when you look at a national perspective, and especially if you're in a region that has density in terms of carrier involvement, we're going to have the opportunity for you to be able to make sure any clients that you run into, they're not all going to be yeses, but they're certainly not going to be nos because you don't have it. And that's the worst kind of no, right? So we'll help you be prepared with the products you need. As we've gone through this from a technological standpoint, an investment standpoint, a product, just a man and a woman power. These are the things that we want to invest in you, certainly with our time. But if you can cover all of those and you can make sure that you're doing your work on the back end, it does make for a successful AEP. And if you do your job well and you are open to learning and certainly growing as the market does, it's difficult to not make your next AEP a little bit better as you continue to evolve as a salesperson and we continue to evolve as a company. So those are 10 items that I'm ultimately interested in. I would love to have conversations with you about all of this or other aspects we may not have covered. I can easily speak for the team here that says, we're here every day to talk with you and help advise you and get you to where you need to be. So we'd love to hear from you. We will certainly be making calls out. I appreciate your attention listening to this. And if you have any questions, by all means, call. We're sitting here waiting, and you have a great day. Take care.